Ain't Hanan arresting or airport no, and the Attorney General Elquaco Pimu, our court next to Aquaco provide evidence. Covered dame, Edibetuja, or say. Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General oma violate court order na dientia Attorney General call for that arrest no arrest no airport no abusuya finally aba abonten lawyer maleba aba be leak info bi e de akire abusuya or say sir Addo Hanan former Bafa Stock CEO dientia ye no wo airport no say na enye say na account na ye freezing nko na opese oyede or withdraw sika at the film na omosan so enya ntie se Addo Hanan sa 4 days na court na the man no abusuya enko kwa omba bio otiro we dey kenoforiata de ni bi pepe enka onya kodru UK ho nya kim bakra omba bio enanko okodru onso a yesinka okwa akoyede okwa akosiki for asylum so kenoforiata process na ofa so a on family pimo Ghana ha say ya granting ni green card no obusu Addo Hanan so seek for asylum according to lawyer Amaleba live on TV3 in the submissions or the two jano intino Attorney General ekwa kopimo court na evidence no wa provided at the ama high court abusu enye asem keto akra intina Addo Hanan ne de abusu former Bafa Stock CEO wa worsen the case no kwa kusiki for asylum hey ba obi baby say aya court na so kra omonte court na say obi a o face law corruption charges akese aye de abono masa nso a grant na permit say onko non-conco seeking for medical treatment UK. Nanya medical treatment na kenoforiata the vanish free system anymore. Abuzia aha eyo kokonse fee any update bia our political highway so bia ya de bebre mo me yanko na yanko kweti ensema yakoso our political highway so na answer na be ko Ghana ha say open computer papa and a laptop papa na we use a borrow periodic computers and accessories ho na obenya laptop papa na we using the location enya ira kwan owo Kumasi Chrome Estates Eli pick number ya egu your screen ya say 0247 030 108 and I say 0597942133 periodic computers and accessories and a laptop papa pay fee abuzia yembonra yensem ne konkotie ensema ekoso our political highway so
since Fifi decided to go back on to the initial subject, let me also put it on record that the information that I have gotten indicates that indeed the state was convinced that it was not just even an attempt to have access to the accounts, but it was calculated in a way intended to abscond the jurisdiction and raise issues of asylum that eventually would not like.
You are getting that information.
Yes, now. I'm getting that information.
And it's proven
like candid.
Yes.
How do we prove this statement that you are making?
So that is why they will be in court today, because you see the question you ask yourself, Bella, is that even if a court grants an order for a person to travel and the state subsequently finds fresh evidence as a result of the conduct of the person, should the state investigative bodies fold its arms and wait until such a time that it's too late for you to go? But that is just by the way.
Alaji, so if per what the Deputy Attorney General said, the attempt to withdraw from the account happened on Thursday and the arrest was made on Saturday, just like Council is saying, between that Thursday and Saturday, do you have any idea when the alert was given to the Office of the Attorney General, the BNI, of this attempted withdrawal? And if that's the case, did they try or attempt to go to court for a stay of injunction or anything to allow them arrest Hanan at the airport?
Bella, I think that, first of all, let me make the point that Hanan is a brother. Yeah. But beyond that, I think that he would agree with me, even if he was on this platform, that when it comes to our commitment to serving this country, it goes beyond blood bonds. Yeah. And that the most important thing is how we can all contribute meaningfully to ensuring that we meet the expectations of the Ghanaian people. And especially when it comes to the fight against corruption, familial bonds should not be a hindrance as far as that commitment is concerned. And so making that point, permit me to attempt to answer the concern that you raised. And I think that my brother also raised those concerns. First of all, it is important to state that indeed the Attorney General, Deputy AG, indicated that attempts were made to access their accounts on Thursday. But he fell short of telling us when that information came to the government. It could have been that Thursday, and maybe attempts to locate him was not feasible. And they knew that he would be traveling, and so decided to trail him until that point. This is feasible. When it comes to exercising the power of arrest, you do not determine the most, what do you think to be the ideal form of carrying out that arrest, especially if the arrest is carried within the remit of the law. So as to whether the information got to the AG on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, they determine the most feasible way to effect that arrest. And the law does not frown upon such a strategy on the part of the AG. That's one. Secondly, I disagree with your commentators who argue that maybe this decision was taken because of the Ken Ofori-Atta experience. I'm pretty much convinced that these were arguments that the Attorney General would have advanced when the application was made seeking leave to travel. And to the extent that the court proceeded to grant that leave, it simply means that these arguments were not considered strong enough, even on the part of the judge. And so that commitment to our constitutional principles can still be deduced as far as the decision of that judge is concerned in granting Hanan Aludiba the leave to travel. So I think that that point needs to be made, that to the extent that the leave was granted, it meant that regardless of these fears that people had, the judge did not find merit that this was likely to happen in the case of Hanan Aludiba. My brother also proceeded in calling on His Excellency President Mahama to actually demonstrate commitment to the resetting agenda. And of course, they are AG. I think that we have shown ample commitment to that. And I can forgive the misinterpretation placed on the recent arrest on Hanan. And maybe a further explanation would let you appreciate, Senior Counsel, that indeed this is not out of the law. There's the need for us to attempt a distinction between the court granting Mr. Hanan Aludiba permission to travel and a purported new crime committed under the law. For example, maybe putting in an example will bring clarity to it. If a court grants my brother Fifi permission to travel, and before the effective travel date, Fifi commits an offense, it does not mean that the state hands are tied in exercising their power of arrest simply because an earlier court had granted permission for him to travel.
Okay.
Are you getting the distinction here?
I'm listening.
Because, you see, Bella, they appeared before a judge. He sought for permission to travel. The judge said, okay, you are allowed to travel. Now we are being told by the Attorney General that even after the grant of that permission to travel, Mr. Hanan committed an independent crime, different from the application he sought to travel. And simply because the judge granted him leave to travel does not mean that the state cannot use that power of arrest to arrest Mr. Hanan at the airport. These are two different things. Two different things. Otherwise, the precedents we are setting in this country would be that each time you are granted leave to travel, God forbid, you can even commit murder. And because the court has granted you leave to travel, nobody would dare stop you at the airport.
But if, you know, the leave has been granted, and of course, this is still related to his case, which is in court, shouldn't the Attorney General's office now go back to the High Court, the same High Court that granted the leave of permission to leave?
The move applications for grant of leave, when they are granted, and you proceed to engage, even before it is carried out, and you proceed to engage in acts that are tantamount to a breach of the law of this country, it triggers the power of state institutions, given the power, having the power of arrest, to arrest independent of that grant of leave, even though it may be connected to the case in hand before the courts. But that cannot be misinterpreted to mean a vacation of the order of the court.
But that puts more power in the state, in the hands of the state than the judiciary that granted that leave.
No,
is that
the
not
state
it?
has always had that power. And Bella, the point I'm making is that the fact that Hanan was granted permission to travel does not mean that if he commits a crime, for example, he slaps somebody at the airport, assault, who accuses him of embezzling state funds, it doesn't mean that the state cannot arrest Hanan there, simply because the court earlier on granted permission in relation to that same case for him to travel. When the state does that, it is not a vacation of the order of the court. That order still stands as we speak. If the Attorney General, upon investigations, realizes that there was no attempt to access that bank account, they release him, he travels. He's allowed to travel. But
in this case, he would have missed his appointment. And you see, that's why his lawyer is asking for evidence. Because if we're saying that there is some illegality that has been perpetrated at this point, is there evidence to prove this point?
So that is an excellent observation. But you see, the most important thing is that you have to know that, look, the public opinion is not where you play the evidence card. The Attorney General, in line with his constitutional duty, decided to respect the good people of this country. And these were calls made by the NPP, if you remember, when this government assumed office and the state institutions started carrying out arrest. They reissued an official statement and demanded that reasons ought to be given behind the arrest of certain former officials. And in line with our constitutional mandate, the Attorney General has been quite consistent. Anytime anybody is picked up, reasons are given. He has given reasons that, look, this is the reason why Mr. Hanan has been picked up. But when it comes to the adducing of evidence, that evidence is not to be adduced publicly. We are not to determine the veracity or otherwise of evidence that the Attorney General would submit before the law courts. It is the law courts that will do so. And the former AG ought to know that if he needs evidence of the allegations being thrown against Mr. Hanan Alodiba, it is not the granting of interview that will give him that evidence. Today, when they appear in court, the Attorney General office would present the evidence in court, and he is allowed to contest that evidence.
You're saying he will present?
Yes.
So does it mean you are aware that there's some evidence?
Absolutely.
Okay, you are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is evidence to the effect that there was an attempt to access the accounts. But as to whether or not the court would determine that these evidence are indeed strong or weightier enough to even warrant a review of the earlier grant of permission to travel, that is solely a decision for the court to take. And that point needs to be made. Bella, you see, when I listened to the former AG, I was worried, and that is that if Hanan is listening, or any of his family members are listening, even the choice of the Godfred Adami as counsel is not strategic.
How?
Oh, he comes with a lot of baggage.
Oh, come on.
He comes with, you see in politics and in law, even in determining your representation, you must be meticulous and you must consider all other factors. As to whether indeed the choice of counsel will help your case, it is critical. And in terms of ethics, it raises also another fundamental issue. It is the same Godfred Dami who told us in that interview that he has been denied access to his client. And you know our ethics counsel. So on what basis has he already proceeded to indicate that the client did not attempt to have access to the accounts? How did he get that information? If you are already out there denying on behalf of your client, and you have not spoken with your client according to you, because you were denied access, so on what basis are you putting up a defense of denial in terms of a claim that he attempted to access that account? On what basis?
He's been in touch with his clients prior to the attempted travel. So what if he's aware of every move this client may have made?
Yes, I am telling you that, but until this arrest, he did not know that the state was onto him. And that maybe the state had information that there was an attempted access of his, what's the name of the bank? Republic Bank account.
Yes.
That's the assumption. Because he says that he has not spoken to the client. And we all got wind of the information when the Attorney General announced publicly that indeed they had to pick up Mr. Hanan Alodiba on the basis of A, B, C, and D. Yes. And my question is, as legal counsel, and this is where ethics comes to play, you have not spoken to your client. Whether your client attempted to access it or not, you do not know. So why are you putting your client in the box by jumping to put up a defense when you have not had access of engaging your client, according to you? Or counsel, I'm lying. It is critical.
Okay.
Because your job is to listen to your client and advise appropriately.
But what
and
he
give
says,
him all the legal options.
What he says, and quickly so I can come to Fifi, what he says is that the charges for the initial, arrest were dropped. And a new set of charges were leveled against him. And so clearly, per the way the courts work, if charges are dropped, everything else that's related to that charge should also be dropped as well, including the freezing of his bank accounts. So unless there was a new application at the High Court to have his accounts frozen all over again, it doesn't stand if the Deputy Attorney General says that his accounts are frozen.
That is a different legal argument to make in court. All what I'm telling you is that you do not proceed to put up a denial of...
But that's what he's relating to this and saying that...
No. He said that there was no attempt. If you are saying that he is allowed to access his accounts, and even if he accesses his accounts, he doesn't see anything wrong with that, that's a different defense. But he is telling you that there was no such attempt to access the account. Play the interview again. If his argument is that even if he attempted to access that account, nothing prevents him from doing so because per my interpretation or understanding of the law, the accounts are not frozen as we speak.
I think he made that argument also.
No, but I'm telling you that the fundamental argument he made was to the effect that, look, the man did not attempt to access the account.
But he linked it to the fact that if that's the case, in fact, as it stands now, his accounts are not frozen because there's been no application in the court of law to have those accounts frozen.
I am saying
so
that
I get you, but I'm just saying he linked
statement that there was no such attempt is problematic
but he linked
and
it
ethically
to the
faulty.
issue of having
and to
his
the issue
accounts
of
not
the
frozen
grant.
at the moment.
We all know that even the FIC is allowed, I think, a 7-day window to freeze court accounts. What's the name? Accounts without a court order. After which they are allowed to go to court to see. What's the name? Court order to ensure that the accounts remain.
And should the person involved be made aware that his accounts are frozen?
Yes.
He should be made aware.
Yes.
In this case, was Hanan,
in relation
example,
to the, I don't have the information in relation to the court granting or waiver in terms of, simply because of the fact that the Attorney General withdrew the earlier charges meant also that any other consequential order that was given in relation to the accounts. I do know, as a matter of fact, that even before charges are brought, the Attorney General can go to court and secure a court order to freeze an account.
Yeah.
And if subsequently the Attorney General goes to court on the charges, my understanding of the law is that, it is independent of the charges that are brought. And so even if the Attorney General finally withdraws the charges, it does not automatically mean that the court order has been vacated. You would have to go through processes to vacate that court order.
I see. Okay. Let me bring Fifi in to find out if that process...
I said that.
Okay. Did they go through that process?
Yes, so this is a ruling of the Adenta Court, and I wish to read this portion. And this is the judge speaking. Indeed, the applicant was cautioned on 30th of June 2025, and the administrative freeze was issued on the 29th of August 2025. During investigation, it was common knowledge that the Attorney General has since 5th May 2026 withdrawn all charges against the applicant, leading to his discharge by the High Court of Accra. It is also common knowledge that the applicant has since been rearrested. The development has a direct effect on the present application because following the withdrawal of the charges against the applicant, the freezing order was automatically discharged.
Who is saying this?
This is the judge.
This is the judge.
This is the judge.
Okay, the ruling from the court.
This is the ruling of the court, and this is the Justice Kwame Jemfi Osei.
Okay.
This is his ruling. So the question is, why would you still say that the man has erred, even if he tried withdrawing money from his account? This is the ruling of the court. And let me correct a certain impression Hamza was trying to make. I believe that what Godfred has done in the legal profession is right. There's no argument about his competence as a lawyer. I believe it is right that Godfred is a very good lawyer to have any day to represent a client. And I do not think that we should get into this conversation of questioning why someone will opt to have Godfred as his lawyer. Let me also state that, yes, the argument Godfred has made is one. His information is that his client did not attempt to make a withdrawal from the account. And two, even if that was the case, the ruling of the court does not make that an offense, because after all, the Attorney General has started a new legal action against him, and if the decision of the Attorney General is to get the assets frozen, then the Attorney General ought to take action and get a decision to back that action. So if you've not done that, why would you do this? And you see, I wasn't too comfortable with how Apia Dankwa was proceeding by saying NPP, NPP, NPP. NPP as a political party is not in court.
Yeah.
NPP as a political party is not in court.
Yeah.
This is an individual called Hanan Abdul Wahab. You are dealing with an individual just like any ordinary Ghanaian on the streets of Ghana. So if you are treating him as a member of the NDC, then it's problematic.
A member of NPP.
A member of NPP. That's problematic because he's just a Ghanaian. Because the moment you add political color to a crime, then it becomes problematic. It becomes NDC against NPP. Okay. This is not a matter of NDC against NPP. This is an individual.
But he held position in office as a member of the NPP. Shouldn't that count?
But he's not in court because he held his NPP. He's in court because the Attorney General assumes that he has committed an act against the laws of our country. Because the moment you add political color, then it becomes a political banter. It's not a matter of politics. It is a matter of a law, somebody acting right or not. So I do not think that we should start attaching political colors. And usually in this country, that's what we do. When there's an issue, instead of addressing the issue as to whether or not somebody has done something right or not, we decide to add political color. So even if you do not even know the facts of it, the mere fact that the person is a member of your political party, start defending. Yeah. And even if the person has done something wrong, yes, it's my party member, so let me defend. I don't think that we should add political color to a
So in your case here, speaking on this matter, you're here representing the NPP, you're speaking on the matter that involves an individual.
Yes,
so he's Ghanaian.
He's Ghanaian.
So is that not a political color in a sense?
No, it is not. I am speaking based on information I have. I will not say that if it is just because I'm MPP and Hanan is MPP, I will just say that he's done. In fact, the court, even every action against him is wrong. They should just allow the gentleman to go and all that because it's a political matter. It is not. I am speaking based on information available. Yes, and you see, what we should note is that relationships in this country goes beyond political color. Somebody may be a friend to Hanan. Someone may be his church member. Someone may have lived in the same house with Hanan growing up. He will have a certain relationship with him. So you should not reduce every conversation in our country to politics. Because the moment you reduce it to politics, then it loses the real issues to a political matter.
Is the CEO of the National Food Buffer Stock Company not a political office?
No, it's a state office. It's not a political
state office, but who appoints the CEO?
You know, there are people who have held, and that is why we have reduced everything in this country to politics. I believe that President Mahama today should be able to look around and say that I believe Bella can occupy this position and serve a country well. You must not necessarily be a member of the NPP.
Is Hanan a member of the NPP?
Yes, he is a member of the NPP.
Okay,
and I am just saying that the fact that someone occupied a political office does not mean that he should be treated because he's MPP. Because if it is MPP, then the Attorney General is NDC, so it is me against you. It is a political banter.
But he's a member of the NPP. He was appointed by the president.
The Attorney General,
who before becoming president was the flag bearer of the NPP. So it's a political office.
So the Attorney General is prosecuting NDC agenda. Is that what he's doing? I don't think so. The Attorney General is working according to the law. And that is what Article 88 of our Constitution enjoins him to do. He's not there to serve NDC interests. He's there to serve the interest of Ghana. Yes, the NDC as a political party is there. The NDC will perform its role. Asylum and Co at the party office will perform their role as party executives. But people who have been appointed to serve in government, they serve government, they don't serve political parties. And that is the distinction we must get. Right?
Okay. I get you.
I think that today it is Hanan. People may think that, well, it is Hanan, so let's hang him. But it is important to realize that Hanan is just an individual in the state. Today, if you support it, if you justify it, if you rationalize it, it becomes a precedent in our country when tomorrow another person is taken through such an unlawful means of punishing an individual. It becomes a precedent, and we must not encourage that.
Fifi, let me just ask you quickly before we move on to counsel. So, of course, based on that ruling, we now have a clear understanding that his accounts were unfrozen.
That's
right?
the claim.
Yes.
That's
the ruling of the
that's
court.
what you read.
Yeah.
So,
Abusia Addo Hanan ne ho ensem ena yeguso drop e de mama lawyer Amaleba yete ne nka se echesesa man na ye friend Hanan nka o vanish o yizi brofu bi to abscond ose man ko dwane e jurisdiction nim hey Addo Hanan and the court on sense no click on the notification bell aha you better drop any update be akoso or political highway so any courtroom or e de amamo you better mase some je penny kokotis and some no e